keeper of all spirits, as we are the earthly keepers of the spirit, to consult him now. But before we do that, let's get a little bit information, if you will, about the story behind the man and the many men and women that sang what they call the blues. And a lot of them started out singing the gospel blues. A lot of folk don't even know it be a gospel blues. But the story began in a region that was later known as a continent, one of the 7 continents of the world. And one of them was called Africa. But in the beginning we find that this story would originate, and it would start out about relatives being warned by the great power of the light that things was going wrong back home with their own kinfolk. And that if they didn't get their house in order, it wasn't going to be long before the great power that saw the danger of coming would witness the foreigners coming in and taking over. So they went over and warned their kinfolk, and they asked them a question. Are you living according to the old religions? Are you going according to, or are you living according to the teachings of the great religions of the river? They wanted to know, were you doing what you were supposed to do? We are coming because we are being warned by the great God that laid down the moral laws for our people long time ago. The great goddess Miyako. This great God wanted to know, are you living now according to the teachings? But she knew, because she could see through time and space, that they wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. And you don't get away with nothing without the great God wanting you. Because see, even though her name was Miyaka, with best pronunciation can be given to the name, this one warned her children that if you do not revert back to my teachings, my moral laws, I am the great goddess of the Nile Valley. And if you do not obey my teachings, then you are in danger of the foreigners coming over and you will be taken over. But baby, I want to tell you something. Them brothers got together. They had to come over there. These are kings that is living according to the moral law of the woman goddess, coming over to warn their relatives that they got to get the house in order. And they got together, and once they did what Miyaka told them to do, they were able to defeat the enemy this time. But it wasn't going to be long, son, before they relaxed themselves. And they stopped living according to the teachings and the moral laws of the great goddess of the Nile Valley and the great religions of the river. They stopped doing what they were told to do. And down through time, the warning that you will be taken over became a reality. Because one day, what that be? What that be? It's a ship. And all of the villagers gathered around. And a strange thing happened. Some pale-faced men stepped off the ship. And they was running around. Oh, it must be a ghost. Must be a spirit. Oh. And one brave African came forward. Looked. Touched. He noticed that his hand didn't go through. He touched him again. Oh, must be a fellow human being, just like us. Pale-faced fella. Look at him. His skin be pale, but he must be another fellow human being. And one said, no, he must be ghost, spirit. We must leave. And the other one said, no, look. He has footprints. See them in the sand. He is indeed another fellow human being. But the moral laws of the goddess of the Nile Valley had warned them
that they must stay true to the teachings. But now they have moved away from those teachings. And when the foreigner came, they welcomed him in. They made a mistake and told him everything about their traditions and their customs. And for 20 years or more, he lived among their people. And while he was there, he learned all of their secrets. But now the goddess of the Nile Valley told him, don't you share these things with no one. But they disobeyed the teachings of the old religion. And because of their disobedience, after 20 years or so, this man by the name of John Hawkins would go back and he would talk to the Queen Elizabeth. Because now he, being a businessman, realized he has a plan. I have watched these African people. I have been introduced to many African tribes, and they will make great slaves. Queen Elizabeth hesitated, but he persuaded her. It wasn't long before Queen Elizabeth was able to finance one of the first journeys built by the money of the Queen, a slave ship fitting to hold many slaves. Well, now, remember, I want to do a parallel between the two histories here. Parallel between religions and Christianity here. Remember, the great goddess Miyaka of the Nile Valley sent a warning to them to obey the teachings and keep the moral laws. Some of you might know them in the book that they stole from us out of Africa, that they took it like they did the Sphinx and the faces of the pyramids, and they took off the nose and the mouth and said it was their people. They took the book called the Bible and they had King James to interpret it, but they wrote part of what they wanted in it in order to write us out of it. So, being disobedient, looking at this story out of the book called the Bible, paralleling it with Miyaka, the goddess of the Nile Valley, as we look at the two stories, you have a father here warned his son, every tree that's set in the midst of the garden ye may eat, except, that ain't what he said. He said, every tree that's set in the garden ye may eat, except for the one that's set in the midst. Son, the day that you do, you shall surely die. Now, the great goddess of the Nile Valley had already warned you from Africa. Religion didn't start in America. We knew about gods way before God, before we come to America. Speaking a different language. But the one in parallel with America in the history of Africa, we have, son, don't you do that, because in the very day that you do, you shall surely die. But just what rule and reign? You see, he came over, found out everything that he needed to know to capture our people as slaves. Because they were hard-headed, disobeyed. Son, the day that you eat of the fruit of this tree, you shall surely die. But the power of darkness that fueled John Hawkins' idea told Mother Eve, no, he know that you're going to become wise. Your eyes will become open. You will not surely die. He told a lie, but he deceived Mother Eve. And then Mother Eve went over to her husband. Good. He said that our eyes will become open. We will become like God. He ate. Plunged the whole human race into sin.